Gentlemen, good evening to you and welcome to the bittersweet last concert of our summer 2018 season. This summer, you know that we've had quite a few guest conductors and soloists to celebrate our 90th year as a municipal band, and tonight will be no exception. In a moment, we'll start our program and introduce this evening's guest conductor a little later. In glancing at your program, you might guess that the title of our opening march has a special tie to the city of Sterling, and yes, it does, in several different ways. Composer, conductor, and music educator Joseph John Richards was known for writing over 300 compositions for circus bands and school bands. J.J. Richards came to Sterling in 1936 and did a great deal for music in this community. It was J.J. Richards that convinced Mr. D.W. Grandin that Sterling needed an up-to-date bandstand. After the collaborative project was completed, Richards stated that it was one of the most satisfying experiences in his career as a musician. The dedication of this band shell and the Civic Center, of where we now sit, took place on July 20th, 1938, almost 80 years ago, and the dedication ceremony included a performance of this march, which was also dedicated to Mr. Grandin, in recognition to his great service to the city of Sterling. The Sterling Municipal Band of that era was led by J.J. Richards, who is the fifth conductor in this band's history. And with that, we open with a salute to Sterling. James Kurnow has composed for concert bands, brass bands, and a collection of instrumental solos and vocal solos. In addition to his compositions and arrangements, he has taught at the high school and university levels. He serves as composer in residence emeritus on the faculty of Asbury University in Wilmore, Kentucky. This next piece was written for the 20th anniversary of the World's Fun Festivals of Music in Kansas City on the occasion to celebrate 20 successful years of their band festival. The premiere took place in April of 1993. This piece has a contrasting section which features solos for the flute and the oboe. Festivity from James Kurnow. Next, we feature a soloist from within our band, and he plays an instrument that isn't featured all that often. Mr. Chuck Camella is in his third year as a member of the Sterling Municipal Band. He attended the University of Iowa, where he earned a master's degree in trombone performance. Chuck taught band and orchestra for 34 years before he retired in 2016. And now, during his retirement, Chuck spends his time playing as much trombone as possible, along with getting his hair cut about once every 15 years or so. He regularly performs with the Manny Lopez. There we go. He regularly performs with the Manny Lopez Big Band, the Josh Duffy Orchestra, this band, the Sterling Municipal Jazz Band, and the Steve Little Kicks Orchestra, along with an unnamed trombone quartet. Mr. Camella will play a classic bass trombone concerto for you, which displays the low end of the instrument. The bass trombone looks just like a typical trombone, but it has some extra tubing on it to play in a lower register in order to produce those snarly, low bass pitches. So to play this popular bass trombone concerto entitled Blue Topaz, please welcome to the solo microphone right up here, Mr. Chuck Camella. This evening, we host our last guest conductor of our 2018 summer season, Dr. James Lambrecht. He is the director of bands and professor of trumpet at Augustana College at Rock Island, and there he conducts the symphonic band along with teaching trumpet, wind conducting, brass methods, and music theory. As a performer, he has played trumpet with several ensembles, including the Quad City Brass Quintet and the Quad City Symphony Orchestra. Dr. Lambrecht has guest conducted this band a few times in the past, in 1997, 2003, and most recently in 2010. He is passionate about his craft, and he always gives us valuable advice while rehearsing us, along with giving us insight on the music that he chooses to perform. In regard to the music he chose, several of the works were written by composers who have guest conducted this band in the past couple of decades. He has chosen to give you the program notes for his works tonight, so he'll enlighten you on the background before we play them. So would you please welcome to our stage, Dr. James Lambrecht.
Well, good evening, Sterling. Can you hear me okay? Very good. It's my pleasure to be back here again. I've conducted this group on several occasions. I think this is my fourth, perhaps even my fifth time in the 30 years I've been here in the Northern Illinois region at Augustana College. And I've looked forward to it every single time, and I hope you enjoy what the band has put together for you to listen to tonight. As we were saying, these composers are the best composers you can imagine for the wind band. And they are excellent composers and well thought of in our field. And I tried to choose pieces that are easy to listen to, but also significant pieces of literature. The first one of those is by Alfred Reed, and Alfred Reed, of course, is one of our great composers. Passed away actually a decade or so ago, but he has left a lasting legacy of great music for the wind band. He's most known for his Armenian dances, parts 1 and 2, and also what I call the Armenian dances part 3, which is Praise Jerusalem, a set of variations, and the Augustana Symphonic Band is actually going to be playing that this year. I don't think my band members know that are in the ensemble right now playing for you, but we are going to be doing some Alfred Reed this year. So for tonight's concert, we'd like to open our portion of the concert by playing The Hounds of Spring. It's like a little festival, kind of a prelude. It's also could be thought of as an overture. It's very typical of Alfred Reed's music. If you know his music, it sounds very similar to a lot of the things that he wrote. Starts out with a lot of energy and has a great opening section with lots of rhythms and rhythm changes. And then he goes into a very soft middle section that's just gorgeous. Alfred Reed loves to write beautiful melodies, and melodies are really important, I feel. And then it comes back to that A music again, and it ends with both themes coming together. So it's kind of fun and exciting, and a good way, I think, to start our portion. Please enjoy Alfred Reed's Hounds of Spring. Isn't that fun? Alfred Reed is just a great, great legacy in our programs. And it's just really an honor to stand in front of a great ensemble like this. By the way, congratulations, Sterling. Congratulations, Sterling Band, on 90 great years of music making. Round of applause. I told the band every time I conduct adult groups like this, I don't do it very often. I try to rest actually in the summertime a little bit. This is so much fun. I should do more of it. And it's just really a blast standing in front of a great group like this. In one day, it can put a concert together like this. Then the next week, do it around, and turn around and do it again and again and again, and play like that. It's just so much fun. I spent 10 years in the Oconomowoc American Legion Band when I was younger, starting with my late junior high years, all the way through high school and undergraduate, when I was living in Milwaukee. And the Oconomowoc American Legion Band was the top American Legion band at the time in the late 70s in the country. And we got to travel and do all these great things. And I'll never forget, just like many of these folks, working all day long, scrambling to get to rehearsal, scrambling then to go home, try and get a couple hours of sleep, and then coming back the next day and doing the concert. Same thing. Just fantastic kind of experience, especially for a young player like myself, sitting at the bottom of the trumpet section originally and then trying to work up a little bit over the years and just playing great literature night after night, week after week. It's just spectacular. The next composer we'd like to play for you is another one of these great composers, Percy Grainger. He, of course, was Australian by birth, but came to the United States about the time of World War I to begin really his composition career. He had originally started out in life as a piano virtuoso. He was scheduled to premiere the Edvard Grieg piano concerto, but tragically, right before the premiere of that great piano concerto, I don't know if you've heard it before with orchestra, it's a great piece of literature, but Edvard Grieg passed away at the last minute, right before the premiere, and Percy Grainger lost out on the opportunity to perform the premiere performance of that concerto. It went to someone else many years later. But it was our gain as band people because Percy had always thought of himself as perhaps a composer. So he started writing band music, and he's become one of the 20th century's greatest band composers. He's well known for many pieces, but his folk song settings are what are really striking. Usually though, they're British or Australian or Danish, some European sort of folk song. You have tonight the only example that I know of an American folk song and an Illinois folk song. This comes from Bradford, Illinois, just 30 miles south of here. It's an old fiddle tune, and it was given to Grainger after the turn of the century, and he took that tune and said, that looks really interesting. Let's write a piece for this. So like he always did, he wrote a piano version of it. Then it became popular, and he said, you know what? I think I'm going to write this for band. So he did. The Spoon River is a small little river south of here. I don't know if you know where it is, but it's halfway between Galesburg and Peoria. You cross it on I-74, for instance. So if you ever stop at the wayside or the rest stop halfway between Galesburg and Peoria, Illinois, that right there is the Spoon River, just so you know. But its headwaters are in Bradford, which is just south of Interstate 80. If you look off to the south, when you're traveling on Interstate 80, you'll see a whole bunch of wind farms. That's Bradford, Illinois, if you ever want to go there. And I stopped there once on a whim. It has ancient, I mean ancient for us in Illinois, cemeteries with headstones that date to the 1820s and the 1830s. This is an old community. Anyway, this is a neat little folk song that Percy Grainger wrote for us. We hope you like it. It's an old-timey kind of fiddle tune, Spoon River. One of my favorite movies is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? If you know that George Clooney movie, there are a bunch of fiddle tunes that are in there, and I can just imagine that tune being played and people kind of skipping along. It's an old style of dance that we don't do very much anymore. In fact, I haven't seen it forever. You could probably find a YouTube, video of it, but that movie shows you an authentic fiddle step dance, similar to what would have been done at the dance hall when this was originally played back in the 1840s and the 1850s, even before the Civil War. To end the first part of my conducting in tonight's concert, I want to do a piece by one of my favorite people, probably one of the composers I've known the most, and no stranger to the Sterling Band. As we told you, many of the composers that are on tonight's concert have actually conducted right here in front of this audience over the years and the decades. And this is David Holsinger. In fact, one of the times that I was supposed to come and help out and conduct was when David hurt his back. He has a really tough back, and sometimes it'll flare up on him. And Lance Carter had called me 3 days or something before the concert and said, would you please come and fill in? I know how much you like David Holsinger's music and you know it. Could you please do it? And I said, man, I'm really sorry, but my wife and I are leaving on a pre-tour for the Augustana tour program to England. Poor us, right? And so I didn't get to come and conduct that particular concert. That would have been my 5th or 6th concert in front of all of you. But David Holsinger has provided us with just a wealth of great music, and I've known him forever. 1982 is when he and I met, and I was playing trumpet in the IU Wind Ensemble, and we were premiering one of his pieces that had just won the ABA Oswald Award, one of our top composition prizes. This next piece we'd like to play for you is a great setting of David's, and it is who he is. And if you've ever seen him conduct, if you've been fortunate to watch him here at Sterling when he has conducted, or anywhere else, it really embodies who he is as a person. High energy, exciting, great, and just lots of fun. And American Faces talks about we're all together, we are one nation, we are proud of who we are, but we come from all these different places. You'll even hear the tune Simple Gifts. Aaron Copland, of course, used it in some of his writings, especially, and that's probably the setting that you will recognize the most is Aaron Copland's version of Simple Gifts. That's just a nice, beautiful melody, and all of a sudden out of nowhere comes in, and David does a great job incorporating that. So please enjoy American Faces by David Holsinger.
Dr. Lambrecht will lead us in a few more pieces of music a little later, and we have a couple more soloists to feature tonight right now. First, Mrs. Crystal Duffy, who has been a proud member of this band for more than 20 years. She went to high school in Morrison and then went on to Northern Illinois University. She now lives in the Quad Cities, where she maintains a flute studio for teaching. Crystal would like to dedicate her part of tonight's performance to her 11-year-old son, Chauncey, who believes that attending Sterling Municipal Band concerts is one of the best summer traditions. We also feature Mr. Brian Antone on euphonium. Brian was a member of 2 orchestras in Pennsylvania for 25 years. He also taught music and recorded some albums as well during his career. And as a resident of Sterling, he has been a member of this band for the past few years. So, as the title of this piece conveys, both of our soloists are going to play parts that imitate the characteristics of a mammal and an insect, respectively. Crystal's piccolo part will remind you of the whizzing and buzzing movements of a fly, and Brian's euphonium part will remind you of the characteristic movement of an elephant. Not that we think he's elephantantic or anything like that. But to play the elephant and the fly, please welcome to the front of the stage Mrs. Crystal Duffy on piccolo, Mr. Brian Antone on euphonium. And at this time, would you please welcome back to the stage Dr. James Lambrecht.
One of the great things about listening to a band like this is realizing you have that kind of talent within the ensemble, hearing them play as soloists all throughout each summer like that. So another round of applause, please, for our great soloists in this band. Great job, people. I never was so frightened as when I was asked to solo with the Oconomowoc American Legion Band on trumpet. And it was a great experience, trust me. I played the Rafael Mendez version of La Virgen de la Macarena. It's an old bullfight song. In fact, there was an Apple commercial that came out like a year or two ago that was using it. The guy diving off the high dive. I had like PTSD when I watched that Apple commercial. But anyway, I got the high E at the end, and as a trumpet player, it doesn't matter how well you play as long as you get the high note at the end. So I got that, and I was proud of that. But anyway, it's a great experience, and it's great that the community gets to hear your people play. These are people that live in your communities and make music like this every week, and it's so heartwarming to hear this continue, this tradition here at Sterling and in other places. The next piece we'd like to play for you is a newer composer, Jon Cathy, and I've come to like his music. I didn't start out necessarily in life liking all of his music. I thought it was kind of raw and aggressive and harsh at times, and he's gotten better and better and better and better. He's now one of our top composers in the field of wind band music. And it's really fun stuff, very rhythmical and exciting. The Dallas Wind Symphony, which is one of our few professional wind ensembles left in this country, just got done recording an entire CD of all of Jon Mackie. And it's mostly new stuff, but there's a trumpet concerto on there with Chris Martin, formerly principal trumpet of Chicago Symphony, who's now in the New York Philharmonic. He's playing on it, and it's called Asphalt Cocktail. It's an unusual title of a CD, but that's one of the pieces. And his music is just really interesting. I love trains. I love trains a lot. In fact, ask my wife, sitting in the front row here with my grandson, we will go and stop and wait for a train to come by before we leave town. But not in the middle of a concert. There should be a law or something, I don't know. It's in the wrong key anyway. But anyway, Jon Mackie is one of these very young composers, and he went to Juilliard, great music school in New York City. He's good friends with Eric Whitacre, with a bunch of other composers who were all of the same grouping. And there's four of them, and we call them the four horsemen of the apocalypse in terms of composers, because they used to hang out together all the time. And Eric Whitacre has been here. He's one of the conductors of the Sterling Band back in the day. And he's become a world-famous composer, but Jon Mackie's right there with him, I feel. Newman is the other one, and Chris Bryant. There we go. I finally came up with all four of the four composers. They were all in school together. They shared ideas, and they did all these great things and bounced musical ideas off of each other. And they have all written for wind band and are great composers. The interesting thing about Strange Humors, I didn't know this piece at all, but this was written actually when he was a student at Juilliard. This is a student composition. Can you imagine this? So here he is, a student studying composition at Juilliard. Very talented young individual, but he has no experience. And he writes this, and catch this. This is a written piece as a string quartet. This is a string quartet piece that you're going to hear, written for wind band. And it also calls for djembe. Hold up the djembe so that folks can see it. So string quartet and djembe, an African percussion instrument. It's kind of fun. I know my grandson's going to love this a lot because he's into percussion instruments. Anyway, can you imagine? So we'd like to play this for you. Please enjoy it. It's a wonderful little ditty called Strange Humors by Jon Mackie. djembe player, and our English horn soloist. I told you that, Jon Cathy is like improving and improving and improving, like a lot of us try to do musically as we get older. I've been at this a long time, and I've had just tremendous experiences and people in my life that have helped me grow as a musician, grow as a teacher, as a conductor, as a trumpet player, all those things. And I'm continually inspired by great teachers and great players and everyone. And Jon Cathy is really taking that to heart and really, really becoming one of our best composers in many ways. But it's interesting, this piece was a college work. But he set it for band not that long ago, after he understood a few things. And you can see how much fun it is. He's really starting to understand how to do this and have fun with it. And it's just great music. And this is the way his music is right now. It's lots of fun and great to play. We want to change pace a little bit. I don't normally program a piece like this on an outdoor concert, but this piece is pretty special. Frank Kelly is one of our great composers. He also has conducted the Sterling Municipal Band, and he's a fellow trumpet player like John and myself. We tend to hang out together. I don't know how that happens, but we always kind of gravitate towards each other. I first heard of Frank Kelly in 1990. I was conducting the Tri-II Honor Band in Clinton, Iowa, and it consisted of Clinton High School, Dubuque Senior High School, and Freeport High School. And they used to always get together and do this festival. And they handed me a piece of music, and it was Amazing Grace. And I know Amazing Grace, of course, but it was written by this new composer, Frank Kelly. I'd never heard of him before. And I was just blown away by this great setting of a well-known piece, something like Amazing Grace. I thought, wow, what is this? This is fantastic. Who is this guy? Frank went on to write just a lot of really great music for wind band. I mean, just really nice things. A lot of it very energetic and rhythmic. And he didn't really write a lot of melodic music then for a long time. Well, he got asked to write a piece for choir. And the band guys are going, Frank, what are you doing? We're band people. You're a band composer. He said, I just wanted to step out a little bit and write a choral piece. It's fantastic. The Augustana Choir sang this one year. It's called There Will Be Rest. And after we all had heard this, the next time we all got together in Chicago at the Midwest Band and Orchestra Clinic, like we always do, we went up to Frank Kelly in his booth at Manhattan Publishing and said, Frank, you've got to set this for wind band. This is so amazing. He goes, yes, I've already been told 1,000 times. I'll get to it. And sure enough, he did. We'd like to share that with you tonight. It is just gorgeous and powerful. And it's just great music. Jon Cathy, as well as Eric Whitacre, have been quoted as saying, there is not enough beautiful music in this world. This, I think, is beautiful music. We hope you enjoy Rest by Frank Kelly.
Mr. James Lambrecht, ladies and gentlemen. Folks, it's the end of a season, and most importantly, we conclude this summer celebrating ourselves as a municipal band for 90 years. In light of our celebration, we want you to recall the guests that we brought to our stage almost every week this summer. Guest conductors Colonel Lowell Graham, Dr. Sean Smith, Alexis Lamb, Dr. Corinne Prendergast last week, and Dr. Lambrecht this week. We also featured several soloists within our band this summer, and you'll also recall when we hosted guest soloist Wayne Bergeron and Lynn Stuckart in July. As we're on this subject, we need to recognize the person who has brought all of those guest conductors and soloists here to Sterling. Not only is she our librarian who organizes hundreds of pieces of paper for sheet music each week, she is also our travel manager, and that is Mrs. Cathy James. Would you stand up please? The next part of our season end thank yous goes to the personnel of this band. Folks, there are nearly 60 dedicated people who play on this stage week after week, and whether they've played each and every week or just the concerts they could commit to, we are happy to be your municipal band to entertain and educate you during the summer and with our indoor concerts as well. Without the dedication of our instrumentalists, we simply wouldn't have a complete band on stage. Not only are we happy to be here, but we're also happy to have you as an appreciative audience. We've also been very fortunate to have beautiful weather this summer with the exception of one concert that was rained out, so we're sure that you can appreciate that as much as we do. In order for the band to physically sit on this stage, it takes the work of our setup crew to place and remove all of the equipment we use each week. We'd like to recognize those people individually, so please stand when I call your name. Carolyn Aiken, Hannah Coyle, Cathy James, Carter Kenny, Taylor Losey, Tom Whitcomb, and Jeremy Van Drew. Our setup crew, ladies and gentlemen. If you'll indulge me for just a little longer, please. A huge thanks to Mrs. Janet Groh-Herring, the director of Sterling Main Street. Janet organizes all of the vendors that have been here to serve food, drinks, and desserts under the gazebo. So for her efforts, could we have a hand for Janet, please? And finally, we need to recognize the support of all of the people on the donor list in your programs tonight. Without support from them, we would not be able to do just about half of what we do all year round. From all of these instrumentalists and Mr. James, our conductor, we would like to now stand and thank you for your support and presence here this summer. And of course, that leads us to a person who greatly values our presence and gifts to this community, our mayor, Mr. Skip Lee. He has a special recognition he'd like to give Dr. Lambrecht. So folks, please welcome Mr. Lee to the stage.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You know, there are 100 different reasons why I feel so honored and lucky to be Mayor of Sterling. But I never feel prouder and luckier than when I get to stand on this stage with this phenomenal group of musicians. I'd ask you all to please stand and let's give this orchestra some love. I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. This band is truly one of the crown jewels of Sterling. We're so proud to have it here. Dr. Lambrecht, it's the practice here in Sterling to recognize those who have contributed to our way of life and done positive things. And we are so pleased and proud to have you here tonight. So what I would like to do is on behalf of the Sterling Municipal Band, the Band Commission, the Sterling City Council, and me as mayor, I would like to present you with the key to the city of Sterling, We hope that this will remind you of this great community and bring you back here again.
Thank you, sir. Matthew, I have a key. He's in the keys. You can't play with this, though. It's mine, okay? Folks, I'd like to thank you for coming out again this week and all summer long supporting this group, like the mayor said. I'd like to personally thank Jon James and Cathy James for inviting me yet again. Jon over here. Round of applause for Jon, please. Please work hard and keep up this great tradition. It's so special, and it's very important in our cultural life, in the life of students. You look on stage, and just like I was in Oconomowoc, playing at a young age in a group like this is just incredibly, immeasurably important in the development of good young musicians. To be able to learn how to sight read, play well with a great ensemble of people supporting you, it's just an incredible experience. And many of us started out in music exactly like this, in this way, in addition to our school band programs. So please keep up the good work. It's been my pleasure being here. It's been just a joy, a pleasure working with these people. We'd like to close, I'm old school, with a good old Susan March, but it's one you may not be familiar with. Some of you might be. It's one of my favorites. It's called Jack Tar. And it's unusual because it's not played that often, and it's different than most Susan Marches. For instance, normally you have two strains at the beginning, and both times it's repeated. Stars and Stripes Forever is a good example. You have two repeats of all the music. That doesn't happen here. He starts out with the first strain, goes into a counter melody, then comes back to the first strain, that's it, and jumps right into the key change in the trio. Then we go on to the trio in a totally different key, like we're supposed to. And then the cat and dog fight happens, but it only happens once, and I want you to listen very carefully. You will recognize the melody, and you're going, I know that melody. If you watch cartoons like I did, you'll know where this comes from. It's not an original melody. It's one of the few times that John Philip Sousa borrows a melody and puts it in. Thank you again so much for your support and for coming tonight. We hope you enjoy our closer here, John Philip Sousa's March, Jack Tar.
And once more for Dr. James Lambrecht. Folks, once again, thank you very, very much for being with us here this summer. Keep up with our activities, and we will see you again sometime. Take care.